No matter what you do in the bathroom to get ready, Dollar Shave Club has everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. They have amazing shower stuff, hairstyling products, toothbrushes and toothpaste, and, of course, razors and shave supplies. Trey and I get ready for our show with hydrating hair and scalp shampoo and conditioner, Dream Hair Cream, and Pacific Pomade. But you're not us. You have your own way to get ready. You might shave your whole body to get ready for a bike race. Dollar Shave Club's Executive Razor and Shave Butter can help you with that. You might do your hair to get ready for your soccer match. Boogies by DSC can help you get your style right. The thing is, no matter what you do to get ready, DSC has everything you need. And right now, you can get ready with an amazing deal on any one of their starter sets. I recommend the Daily Essential Starter Set, but you can't go wrong with any of them. Head over to dollarshaveclub.com/Golic to pick your own DSC starter set for just $5. After your starter set, products ship at regular price. And make sure you check out their new video as well. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Golic. dollarshaveclub.com/Golic.
Hey, how much football is too much football?
No such thing.
Correct. And when it comes to business travel gotta-haves, how much is too much?
No such thing, especially at La Quinta.
Roomy rooms with workspace to spare.
High-speed internet that's as free as an uncovered receiver.
And La Quinta's bright-side breakfast that could fill up a fullback.
Even free coffee that never takes a time out.
There's no such thing as being too ready for that next big meeting.
So prepare to win at business with La Quinta.
Book now at LQ.com. Hope your Wednesday's off to a good start. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers.com, Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo, or call in 860-506-5505. And we've had a ton of voicemails calling in today because, as we've been alluding to throughout the show, today is the last day for researcher Brett to be on the show. And we've done an extended dance mix version of our weekly segment, Brettomology. We did the first three in the last hour, and we're finishing up the final fourth Brettomology on the top of this hour.
I'm looking forward to it, and then he has some Brettomology facts and
some
notes
bonus facts
after that, so we're giving him a little more airtime, something that he loves before he is out the door. Choosing to leave us. So after the show's over today, we don't really care where he goes.
No, have no interest in Brett whatsoever after this day. So,
but we do have one more phrase, Brett. So
we do have one more in the normal game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a pickle.
In a pickle.
In a pickle.
In a pickle.
Was it first coined by friend of the program, Bill Shakespeare?
Bill. Who may not ever existed.
Yeah. The Tempest. He used it to describe a conundrum faced by one of his characters, just as we would today. Alonzo says, "And Trinculo is reeling ripe. Where should they find this grand liquor that hath gilded him? How camest thou in this pickle?" And Trinculo responds, "I have been in such a pickle since I saw you last." Or, oh, you guys, this is the matchup you've been waiting for this whole time. For our other origin, we're taking it to the high seas.
Yes! High seas against Bill Shakespeare.
Admiral Horatio Nelson, a commander in the British Navy, was killed in action in the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, but his journal revealed that he had directed his crew to preserve his body in a pickling mixture of brandy and camphor for the trip back to England. The passage read, quote, "I will lead the men with honor until my body is in a pickle barrel." Later, in a pickle barrel, and eventually in a pickle, was a British Navy phrase for a particularly dangerous situation. Or are both origins fake?
All right, so this is one where I'm just trying to outthink Brett, which is going to be a mistake.
Good luck with that.
He knows how we feel about, or I feel about Bill Shakespeare as a friend of mine. And we know how the high seas always come into play here. So I'm going to say they're both fake.
You're going to say they're both fake.
Both fake.
I like what you're doing. However, I think in the spirit of the show and how much controversy we've had about whether or not William Shakespeare actually existed or not, I think he's doubling down hard. It's all Bill all the time.
Number one, you're saying
number one.
What are you saying?
I feel like we were going to do what Golic did. You can't make us pick between Bill Shakespeare and the high seas, but you picked neither. Trey, you picked Billy. We're gonna go to the high seas.
Go to the high seas?
Why not?
So we all, on the last one of Brettomology, we all have a different answer. Brett, who's right?
I think it's only fitting that Trey is right.
Yay!
Bill Shakespeare.
Yeah, buddy.
It really is
smart
only
guy
fitting.
now.
There you go. You're right, because you were
smoked.
You finished up what? So 50 for 68.
50 for 68.
And I finished up 35 for 68. Wow.
Okay.
You're really good at this.
Thank you.
You did a nice job.
I have no other appreciable skill.
No, you don't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You did well. 74%.
74%.
You almost got 3/4 of them right.
Yeah.
That is really, really pretty impressive.
Well, I do this thing that you should try doing. I read books.
Yeah.
So you might want to think about that every once in a while.
Too far gone.
Actually, 51% not reading at all. Probably a better stat.
Bad. So
probably
Brett,
a better stat.
That's the end of your Brettomology, but you have some more notes or facts for us?
Yes, we have a couple extras. So there were a lot in my research of all of these phrases. Sometimes I would come across one that doesn't have a clear origin, but does have a good kind of urban legend associated with it. So I have a couple of those that I'm gonna rattle off for you.
All right.
The whole 9 yards.
Right.
Yeah. Terrible movie with Matthew Perry and Bruce Willis.
Unsubstantiated origin is that gunners in World War II were given 9 yards of ammunition, and if you used all of it, you'd be in a tough spot.
Okay.
I like that.
But that is unsubstantiated.
Unsubstantiated.
Right. Out of left field, a favorite of Dan Stanzik.
Yes.
The legend says there was a mental hospital across the street from West Side Park where the Cubs used to play in Chicago. So during a game, they could hear all sorts of weird things being yelled to them from outside of left field. It's most likely just an allusion to the fact that a runner going home can't see the throw coming from left field.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
Can we just go with the first one there? I like that one better.
We can't.
A cup of Joe.
Coffee.
The best story is that the Secretary of the Navy, Josephus Daniels, banned alcohol, so the strongest thing you could drink on a naval vessel was coffee, and they nicknamed it after him out of spite.
Oh, I like that, actually.
Probably just an evolution of Java or Jamoke.
Right.
And the upper crust.
Let me say
Some people believe in medieval kitchens, the top part of the bread would be served to richer people, and poor people would get the burnt bottom.
Oh, wow.
Really?
That's not cool.
But again, these are unsubstantiated.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Just so people understand how this works, Brett came up with the actual origin and then a fake one.
A fake one.
How much time did you put into the actual, and how much time did you put in creating the fake ones?
So the actual usually didn't take that long. I just had to write what it was. But the fakes would take, it could take half an hour per one, sometimes up to an hour. It's a lot of work. You got to dig into history. And I have one additional thing, by the numbers on Brettomology.
Okay.
Rip through it real quick. We did 80 total phrases.
80.
I wrote 11,180 words. 6 origins are from ancient Greece or ancient Rome.
Right.
6 are from poetry. 8 are from the military. 9 are from religion. And there were 7 mentions of friend of the program, Bill Shakespeare.
Billy!
5 of the 7 I made up completely.
Nicely done.
Wow.
Well, you just said there were 7 references to Shakespeare. 5 of those 7 were made up, right?
Yep.
Which sums up Bill Shakespeare, because nobody knows if he actually
No,
existed.
that's not true. Just stop it.
Brett?
Well, we're not going to get back in it. I don't
Brett?
want to
No.
take it.
We're not going down that road.
And we have
again.
one final number,
Yes.
and that's 0.
Yeah.
Requests that I took.
There you go.
That is very true.
Brett! That's his walk.
Brett, let me tell you, congratulations, man. That was a great segment you came up with, and in all honesty, best of luck where you go from here.
Thank you.
We don't care, but I hope it goes well for you.
But seriously, best of luck.
Yeah.
But we don't care.
There you go.
All
Thanks
right,
for the donuts.
So there we go. Yeah, and
Good
thanks for eating that half donut out of the garbage.
Well, it's your fault for throwing it away.
You are 100% correct. So this hour of Golic and Wingo is brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. So we just had a lot of fun with Brettomology. We enjoyed that very much. We're about to have a lot of fun with college football.
Yes, we are.
Week 0 is in the past, and week 1, the official big first start of college football, is this weekend. And to break that down, we're delighted to be joined by our college football analyst, Kirk Herbstreit. He joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Kirk, obviously, let's start with what's been going on at Ohio State over the past week. How do you think Ryan Day and the players, because that's the players we haven't really heard from until recently, how do you think the players have handled everything that's going on with their program?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Happy football season.
Yeah.
You got it, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's been so much talk about Urban and the press conference and just all the stuff off the field. It has been lost a little bit. Even Ryan Day's been talked about and how the coaches are going to handle it, but it has been lost on what the Ohio State players have been dealing with. And Paris Campbell gave us a little hint to that yesterday, talking about how the team is very angry. And you guys know from following this, and Mike, you know from being a part of teams that when things like this potentially divide a locker room. It's either going to divide that locker room and ruin you, or it's going to bring you together and create that kind of, hey, everybody's against us. Let's go show them it's us against the world mentality. And I'm guessing it's going to be the latter, just because I think these 18 to 22-year-old kids feel that this is their view, that their coach and their program is being attacked, and we're going to go hold the fort down until coach is back, kind of thing. I haven't spoken to any of them, but just listening to some of their comments, that's my take. So I'd be very, very surprised if it's not a very emotional, very fired up team that takes the field Saturday in Columbus for Ohio State.
We always talk about the beginning of a college season, Herbie, different from the NFL, right? That the NFL has the 4 preseason games, the college has none. So we see a lot of mismatches in week 1, but we also have 4 ranked, and we know how precious each win and each loss can hurt you in college. So you guys, obviously, College Game Day will be at Notre Dame this week for Notre Dame, Michigan. So let's look at that game from both sides, from the quarterback that Jim Harbaugh got to the quarterback that Brian Kelly just named, and how you see this game.
You think about what's at stake there. I know it's only week 1, but both these coaches really could use a win to start their campaign in 2018. I can't wait to watch Shea Patterson. I was hoping that Tariq Black would come back from his injury because I think he's his best receiver, and he only here comes another injury for Black, so he's out again. So I think that'll affect their perimeter passing game and the vertical passing game. But I do think Shea Patterson, remember, coming out of high school, he was a dual guy. He was a perfect fit for Hugh Freeze and that Ole Miss offense. And now he's going to go into more of a pro-style Jim Harbaugh offense. There is an adjustment as far as the scheme is concerned. But the 2 things that I think I'm looking for, not just Saturday night from Shea, but throughout the year, 2 areas that have really hurt Michigan. That's, number one, simple, protect the football. They've turned the ball over like crazy at that position. If you can just protect the ball and punt and rely on the Don Brown defense, that alone will help them win some close games. So that's one thing, not turning the ball over. Second thing, and something we've not seen since Harbaugh's been there, third down efficiency. You're going to see this quarterback who's mobile on 3rd and 6, things are covered down. He's going to take off and pick up 8 and 12 yards on a scramble and keep the chains moving and sustain drives, which to me will account for a lot of hidden yards and a lot of time of possession. And with that defense, if he protects the ball and he's efficient on 3rd down, those 2 things alone, Michigan is going to be tough to beat for anybody starting Saturday night against Notre Dame. I'm a huge Brandon Wimbush guy as a person. I don't know if you're going to meet a better guy than Brandon Wimbush. And if you watch him throw in shorts and a T-shirt, he throws the ball as good as anybody. But 49% last year in his first year as a starter, not good enough. So I'm anxious to see how much he's improved with his decision-making and his accuracy. Because, Mike, from following them, last year it was drop back, primaries covered, take off and run. And this year I'm hoping to see him work to that 2nd or 3rd option and get that completion percentage up. So we'll see. What a great game to start the season for both those teams.
Absolutely. As our college football analyst, Kirk Herbstreit, is with us, and Allstate knows that football season is mayhem, and that's why they're reminding fans that if mayhem can show up on game day, imagine what can happen the rest of the week. So better get protected with Allstate. You mentioned quarterbacks and Brandon Wimbush. Let's talk about Alabama. Tua Tagovailoa, Herbie, is one of the co-favorites to win the Heisman Trophy, and we still don't know if he's going to be the starter week 1 Saturday when they take on Louisville. How do you see this? Forget week 1. How do you see this playing out and eventually someone settling in as the starter?
Well, I think this is kind of a microcosm of where all coaches are when they're dealing with a quarterback quandary with 2 very talented guys. And they're not only concerned about picking the right guy, they're concerned with how they do it. Because if they do it the wrong way, the other guy's gone. That's the world we live in now. It's become an epidemic around the last 5 to 7 years. The backup quarterback ends up getting frustrated, leaves, transfers to go somewhere else. And that's why I think Nick Saban's handling this the way he is. Eventually he's going to have to go with somebody. Keep in mind, Jalen Hurts in his 1st and 2nd year, he's been to 2 national championship games. He's 26-2. So we're not talking about a guy that's necessarily struggling mightily. We're talking about Alabama being as good as they can be. It's my feeling, and I know we only have a half, but I've been to a lot of Alabama practices and watched Tua throw. It's my belief that this is Nick Saban's most talented, deepest offense that he's had around the quarterback position since he's been in Tuscaloosa. You look at their receivers, the depth at tight end, the 4 deep at tailback, the big physical offensive line. They no longer can beat you just by playing defense and special teams and running the ball and play action, throwing it vertically. They can distribute and throw the ball all over the place. And because of that, it makes more sense to me to go with Tua. Since that's conventional wisdom, it wouldn't shock me to see Jalen Hurts run out there. That's just kind of how Nick Saban is, just to kind of throw you a curveball. But I think Tua's ability to throw the ball around the field and use all those weapons would put Alabama in a better place to max out their potential. And I'm talking about 45, 50 points a game kind of potential if Tua's in the game. They are going to be very, very tough to stop because of the depth and the talent around the quarterback spot.
Kirk Herbstreit joining us. You can check out Herbstreit and Fitzsimmons podcast with new episodes weekly. Listen on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. And Herbie, we know the teams at the top. We always talk about Bama, Clemson, Georgia, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Washington, and a few others. How about those more in the bottom of the top 25 or maybe just on the outside looking in that you think could surprise a few people this year?
Well, I think the group of 5, that's always a fun debate, who's going to emerge as a team that's going to start to kind of climb the rankings. UCF was that team last year, and there's some people that feel that they could be that team again this year. I think it's Boise State. I think that this is a team that has enough experience coming back from last year. If they go to Oklahoma State and win early in the year, I think that could really propel them to having a potential magical year as a group of 5 team getting up there. I think Florida State seems to be a little bit of a forgotten team. Willie Taggart in his first year, they're all the way down at 19 in the AP poll. I think they have a shot. They open up the season Monday night, by the way, against Virginia Tech at home. It'll be fun to see them. DeAndre Francois is back after missing almost the entire year last year. He's back now at quarterback. Just a team that worth throwing out there. I think Florida with Dan Mullen, I'm trying to think of these new coaches who could hit the ground running, who are not ranked very high. I think Florida has a chance with Dan Mullen. And if you're looking for a team that could break things up and really become a factor, I think it's Mississippi State, again, with a new coach, Joe Moorhead. I know it seems like there's so much expectations that there's maybe even pressure on Mississippi State, but I think Mississippi State, they got a great coach who happens to inherit some personalities and characteristics that fit what he likes to do offensively. So I think Mississippi State is definitely a wild card coming out of the SEC West.
Kirk Herbstreit with us, our college football analyst, as we get set for the first deep dive of the season coming up this weekend. Listen, we talked a little bit about Tua being a co-favorite for the Heisman Trophy winner. Who do you think is the favorite right now heading into the season?
Well, my playoff teams are Alabama, Clemson, Washington, and Penn State. And I think Penn State, just from knowing some of those players and knowing James Franklin, I think there's kind of a collective chip on the shoulder of that entire program. I think that they feel that, they've kind of come out of nowhere since everything that they went through with Jerry Sandusky and Bill O'Brien came in, and James Franklin's gotten them up these last few years. I think a lot of people feel, well, Saquon Barkley had a lot to do with that success. And I think these players are anxious to show that there's more to Penn State than Saquon Barkley. And so I think Trace McSorley is going to have a great year. I think Penn State's going to have a great year. So I think Trace could become the Baker Mayfield of 2018 in college football. Not that he's going to go on and head into the draft. I'm talking strictly just what he'll mean to the college football season. I think he's going to have a big year. And I think Miles Sanders, the running back that's going to replace Saquon, is going to have a huge year. So I'm going to say, Bryce Love's an easy answer. Jonathan Taylor, if you're looking for running backs at Wisconsin. But I'm going to go with Trace McSorley at Penn State as my guy here before the season starts.
Wow, I was not expecting that. And Herbie, most importantly, before we let you go, it's pretty clear you have some pull with the College Game Day operation. So what do we have to do to get Golic as one of the celebrity pickers one of these Saturdays? Because literally, it's all he lives for.
That.
It's all he lives for.
Are you going to be in South Bend this weekend?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there Thursday, actually. I'll be there all weekend.
Oh my gosh! Well, let's make it happen. We got to get you on the set to have you do the dance with Corso.
Oh, I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to dance.
Be careful, he may show up naked.
Yeah, well,
so be prepared.
Yeah, if you do it on Thursday,
Corso told me last week he's already got his skit planned out, and you're going to be intrigued by it. So let's talk this weekend for sure. We got to somehow incorporate you into the weekend festivities in South Bend. It's going to be, by the way, for game day, let me just say how excited we are as a show. We love those games that are at these pro stadiums, neutral site games, because there's big time games over the years. But there's nothing better than to hit the ground running for us, being on a college campus. What better place than to be in South Bend with a rivalry game against Michigan? So we're expecting a crazy scene around the set to start off the season at 2018. And Golic, we got to have you around dancing and having a good time.
Will it be a problem if I'm drunk?
No. That's fine.
Okay, cool. I just trying to set the parameters.
Everybody needs to know what to expect, I think is what we're saying here very much.
Yeah.
All right, Herbie, we appreciate you being with us, man.
All right, see you, man.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
How about this? As the season starts, we're talking about gambling being legal more and more, and it's just going to keep on going as more states get it. How about this? The most bets to win the national championship at Westgate Superbook in Vegas as of Monday. Most bets to win the national championship. Who do you think it would be?
Alabama.
Here's the top 5.
Okay.
Ohio State, Georgia, Wisconsin, Washington, Clemson.
Alabama's not in the top 5.
No Alabama.
This is why casinos make a lot of money.
Now, at Westgate, and as of Monday, the most money wagered to win a national championship, Alabama's number 1.
There it is. There it is. And to think that you might be a part of the drunken festivities this weekend.
Oh, my God.
You better be better at the picks than you were at Bretomology.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
I'm just saying.
You're not kidding.
51% is not going to cut it when you come to the picks.
No, it is not. Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hotspots.
Here with Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. I just had a wild idea, Mike.
That would be?
Well, today is Brett's last day.
Yes, it is.
But we all know what a huge ego Brett has.
Big ego.
It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I mean, he put the size in seismology. He put the E in ego. Basically, that's the way this goes. So just because it's his last day doesn't mean it has to be his last Bretomology, right? He could still, just to feed his ego, call in every once in a while and do a Bretomology with us.
Well, that's interesting because the time he does it, if he's going into the real world job
there's no
sector,
real world with Brett. He's basically,
but I mean, he's
basically going to be a bum for the next 6 months.
He does it at 7:45 Eastern. That could be before he does whatever job he's going to do.
Right.
That's possible, but no.
No? What, gone?
It seems like a request, and we don't take requests.
Wow.
Well, Brett, when you're unemployed for 4 months and you're looking for something to do, I think you may call.
Look, if you got cash for me, I'll take it.
Oh, it's the one thing we have here. Tons of cash. We throw it around.
Just name your price.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Name your price. Stanzik will be your agent. We'll get that all straightened out. All right, so again, you can get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, or call in and wish Brett all the best in the world, 860-506-5505. So, very busy day for a couple of defensive linemen.
Yes.
Getting huge contracts. Just none that we've been talking about.
No, it's not Aaron Donald and it's not Khalil Mack.
It's teammates.
You know what? And Brett, to make you continue to work, at least for another hour and a half before you're done here, Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins of the Cincinnati Bengals, same draft.
Yep.
This is their 9th season. Dunlap in the 2nd round, Geno Atkins in the 4th round. Interestingly enough, through their 8 seasons, Atkins has 64.5 sacks. Geno Atkins has 61 sacks. The last 3 years, they each have had 29 sacks. They both signed new deals. Geno Atkins' 4-year deal worth $65 million, with $25 million coming in the first year. His 16.3 mil per year average is a record average for non-quarterbacks older than 30. And Dunlap, who's 29, signed a 3-year extension worth $45 million, so that keeps under control for age 31. When is the last time we have had teammates play that long together, get those kind of deals together, basically being together for 8 years and getting big deals like that? They're not the biggest deals in the world, but those are damn nice deals.
Yeah, they're 1 and 2 respectively, Dunlap and Atkins in franchise sacks.
And I'll tell you, watch out for the Bengals in their pass rush. They have not only these guys, they have depth this year on that defensive line. So we'll see what the offense can bring. You got A.J. Green, obviously, Tyler Eifert, if he's healthy, and that unfortunately for him is a big if, because he is a monster red zone target. But we got to cover the if with him because of the injuries. A.J. we know is fantastic. So let's see what the offense can do. I'm going to like watching this defense get after the quarterback, but that's impressive. In this day and age of free agency, when guys go get big deals, and again, these are not the monster deals, but they are big deals. Together this long and be this productive, 2 teammates.
I agree, and the most interesting thing about Atkins is 16.3 per year. Again, a record for a non-quarterback over the age of 30.
It's impressive.
And in this day and age, where, it's all about pass rushers on the edge, what are we seeing with Geno Atkins? He's an interior force that can tear up the inside and allow those pass rushers to roam free on the outside. Sort of the same way Aaron Donald and now Ndamukong Suh are going to play that role together for the Rams.
Well, we've seen a couple of the top pass rushers on the inside. Geno Atkins is one of them, and Aaron Donald's the other. Geno Atkins, he's listed as 300. He's lucky if he's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And we know Aaron Donald's about 290. And by the end of the season, these guys are lighter than that. Of the havoc they're wreaking in the middle with moves, with quickness. And you tell any old lineman, they would much rather try and anchor down on some big lineman that isn't as quick to try and just muscle them and play in the phone booth and just do that, than deal with the quickness off the ball, which all of a sudden opens these old linemen up and get them out of position. And now the D lineman can have his way with the offensive lineman. They hate these guys with the quick moves, and that's what Atkins and especially Aaron Donald have.
Listen, they do great with leverage. That's the thing. Their burst and their leverage is really fantastic. Now, that's not saying having a huge guy in the middle isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
But the combination of their speed, their agility, and their leverage that both Atkins and Aaron Donald bring is absolutely remarkable in the NFL. That's why they got paid.
Good for them. Congratulations to both of them.
Absolutely. Yep. Golic and Wingo, presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Surprise a friend or loved one today with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. So, Dunlap, Atkins, book it. They're taken care of.
Yes, they are.
Odell, book it. Taken care of.
You can book it.
We believe it's just a matter of time when Aaron Donald is going to be able to book it, which means a very unbook it situation for Khalil Mack and the Oakland Raiders. And if you're wondering why a guy who was an all-pro at 2 different positions a year ago is still waiting on a new deal for the Oakland Raiders, well, Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports was on Freddie and Fitzsimmons and says it's all squarely about one guy for the Raiders and one guy only.
It does rest in John Gruden's hands. There's been a lot of talk about, GM Reggie McKenzie and, what is he doing? And Mark Davis, can Mark Davis fund this deal because he's considered to be one of the most cash-poor owners in the NFL? This is on Gruden. I've been told this from multiple sources. It's in John's hands. He can green light this, and if and when he does that, it will get done. And if he doesn't, it's going to go into the regular season, and they're going to force Khalil Mack to miss games, and either he's going to report and be unhappy with his deal, or he's going to sit out as long as he feels he needs to.
And, Mike, for me, it's not so much that they don't have a deal. For me, it's that they haven't even had any conversations. That to me is more telling than the actual lack of a contract.
Completely agree, because we kept hearing about the talking of Aaron Donald, even though there's talk and there's getting something done, because the talk with Aaron Donald has been a couple of years. So it's not like even with them supposedly talking, there was much production. But it's that's coming to a head. He's going to have a deal done probably at about $22 million a year. You're right. The no conversation here is mind-boggling to me. And the thought that John Gruden, remember when John Gruden said, hey, our defense wasn't very good last year, and Khalil Mack was part of that defense. So basically inferring how great can he be if our defense wasn't very good. He wasn't saying Khalil Mack is a bad defensive player. Khalil Mack is a great defensive player. Great defensive player. But, man, that the talk early wasn't good about this. So I started connecting the dots a little bit with the thought process of where this may be going. I may be completely off base, but hear me out. Because the talk is also have Khalil Mack play on his fifth year, of which he's supposed to make about $13 million this year. Remember, he is under contract. He's being fined for missing these preseason games, and he would get fined going into the regular season and lose or he wouldn't be getting paid the money he would be getting per week. So there's the $13 million. The thought is let him play his fifth year, and then the Raiders have the ability to tag him, to franchise tag him, which would be probably in the $18 million, $19 million range. Tag him for 1 year, maybe tag him for 2 years. Where's that worked before? Where was that done?
It sounds like something that happened in Washington with quarterback Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins got tagged 2 years in a row and made about $44 million, but he wanted a big-time deal. Who's the coach there?
That would be Jay Gruden.
Jay Gruden. And his brother is John Gruden. Not to say Jay Gruden is making the decisions, but Jay Gruden was part of that process out there. I mean, they're brothers. You got to believe they talked some, and maybe there was a conversation of, hey, you know, this is something that could work for you. Khalil Mack may not be happy about it. You may eventually lose him, or you may sign him. In Washington, they didn't sign Cousins. He left. With Mack, maybe they would down the road, but you realistically could get away with 3 years, of which Khalil Mack would basically, you're talking 14, 18, 19, 3 years of that, of guaranteed money for him, but he wants that long-term deal.
Right.
So could they possibly think it? We'll do that. No way a player is going to miss out on that kind of money. And that's the thought process as well. When you start talking about leverage, how much will a player sit? When push comes to shove, will he miss making out on 13? Next year, if he got franchised, would he miss making out on $18 million, or would he take it? And is that maybe something that's in the Raiders' plans?
It's the same way for an individual player. It's the same way for a collective group of players if we're talking about the next collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
How much are you willing to sit out? And someone tweeted in earlier when we talked about the subject, hey, he signed a contract, honor the contract. Just stop that part
doesn't
of it
work
now.
that way.
Because those contracts are made in invisible ink, and the teams don't honor that contract. Whenever they feel it's in their best interest to get out of it, you know what they do? They get out of it. How many times every offseason do you hear, we've readjusted his contract? He's taken a pay cut because he had to.
Well, that's exactly right.
If you have the leverage, swing that hammer and get what you can as a player. That's it. End of story.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
I offended Golic in a way that he should not be offended.
There are donuts here. And right before we came back on the air, I saw you take a bite that knocked it down to about half a donut. Yeah. And before I could say anything, you threw the other half in the trash can. What in the hell are you doing?
There are 2 full boxes.
I don't care.
He's now he's going into
this half a donut.
Are you going to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he just ate it out of the trash can.
It was at the top of the trash can.
I've actually eaten that a million times.
No garbage.
That was for content.
Sports Center brought to you by Dell. Dell's Labor Day sale for small business can save you up to 40% on select PCs with Intel Core processors. Plus, get free shipping on everything. Our small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Visit Dell.com/business deals or give them a call at 877-BUY-DELL.
All right, Golic and Wingo here with you, and we are celebrating. It's like he's getting his own freaking show. We are celebrating the end of Researcher Brett's run.
Yes, we are.
He's leaving us, not for greener pastures. He's just leaving us.
Just leaving.
To be clear, he doesn't have a job.
He's leaving us.
He's so sick of doing this show that he'd rather be unemployed.
He's gone.
He'd rather be unemployed. That's how we rate.
He'd rather be unemployed.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, he has a chance to be employed, and he's choosing to not be employed.
It's called a leap of faith, Trey.
It's called a leap of faith, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Last Crusade.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. So here's his leap of faith, and people are weighing in with their unwavering support of Researcher Brett.
Did we actually learn anything from Bettomology? I am just as likely to give the fake answer as the real one. That's how good Brett is. Good day, gentlemen.
It's very true. Very true. The fake answers were so well researched by Brett. They were fantastic.
The problem is, we've all known that Brett's ego has sort of gotten out of control.
Well,
and this is just going to make it so much worse as these voicemails continue to come in.
Hi, Golic and Wingo, Researcher Riles here. I know it's Brett's last day and all, so I figured I would say some nice words. Brett was the one who showed me all the important things back when I was intern Riles, like where to find free food on a college football Saturday, or stuff like how to actually research shows. Good luck, Brett. I'll even miss going 0 for 4 in Bettomology.
Wow, Riley. How great is that? That was very nice. Finding free food at the counter. That's fantastic.
That is important.
That is huge. Huge.
There's always free food around ESPN, but they don't advertise it. You just got to find it.
So Riley's going to, we'll figure out a segment for her. She's going to figure out a good segment. Yeah.
Rhyology.
We'll
figure that out. And then one last one on Researcher Brett.
I'm sorry to see Larry go. I only missed one Larimology the whole time he's been doing it. And I just want to give him best wishes or happy trails. Congratulations, man, on your new venture.
Did you go Larimology?
Larimology.
Oh, that's a great job.
That's very good.
Well done.
You know what's a better job? What the NBA is doing with their shoes.
This?
Yeah.
This is why the league and the players, they get along better and better. The NBA loosens restrictions on sneaker colors players can wear. You see it in the NFL where players wear the painted up shoes, but only in pregame. Yep. In the games, they're restricted to X amount of shoes, and that's true in all sports because of deals that league has and things like that. But in the NBA now, the rule change is part of the NBA's ongoing effort to allow its players to be expressive on the court. Third-party logos still are going to have to be pre-approved by the league before making the wear in the court. You understand that with deals that are marketing deals that are made, so they still have to prove that. And there still are, this is great, there still are some restrictions against sharp protruding objects or reflective elements such as gleaming chrome.
Okay. There's a couple of things we need to get in there, right? First of all, gleaming chrome, because everybody's wearing those on their shoes.
Yes.
But sharp protruding objects. Do we really believe NBA players would have like stiletto knives in their shoes like the Kingsmen? They're going after people?
They have to write all this down though. You can't assume anything, so they're going to have to be the restrictions. But I love that, man. Let the guys, and there's no doubt you are going to see some crazy colors out there and depictions and things like that. Again, all that has to be pre-approved. We'll see. As I mentioned, the league makes revenue with certain marketing things, and you don't want competition against it on somebody's sneakers. Because remember, the league and the players are splitting some of the revenue. There's a percentage split. So the players are getting some of that league revenue as well. So you have to be careful of what you let go on a shoe. So they'll go through all of that, but they're really loosening the reins on what the players wear. And I think that's great. I think they should do that in the NFL as well.
Listen,
I think it's fantastic.
They've started doing that, with my cleats, my cause. I wish the NFL would lighten up a little bit here.
Listen,
there used to be sock police.
There still are. Oh, there still are.
Sock police.
They're usually former players who go around in like pregame and check out the uniform that it's worn correctly and warn players, hey, you can't go out on the field with that. If your towel's too long, blah, blah, this and that. But this is where we've gotten. In the NBA, they've allowed the small patch on the uniform, correct? Right. On game days. In the NFL, we're not there yet. They can wear them in the facility, in the practice facility. They can have patches on their practice jerseys. We're not there yet with actually on game days like we are in the NBA. The NBA, good for them. Definitely setting some trends and now doing it with the sneakers. I look forward to seeing some of the incredible artsy jobs that are done by people that do this all the time and that these basketball players are going to go to and say, this is kind of how I want my shoe, do it up that way. It's going to be really cool to see.
Look, it's just another example of them partnering with each other, right? That's the thing. You get the idea that going into this, both the players and the owners and the teams are in this together, and it's why it continues to work.
It works well together. Yeah. I saw a good thing, and again, some are going to push the envelope, and some will get, no, you can't wear that out there.
Of course.
There'll be that line that people will be stepping.
You'll step the line and see how far you can go with it. Yep. Absolutely all the way. Coming up, despite a heavenly draft, our next guest team's lost on a miracle, and we'll ask them what they have to do to march their way back into the Super Bowl conversation. Oh, Stanzik labored over that tease, and it was glorious.
Really good. Sean Payton, by the way.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.
No matter what you do in the bathroom to get ready, Dollar Shave Club has everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. They have amazing shower stuff, hairstyling products, toothbrushes and toothpaste, and, of course, razors and shave supplies. Trey and I get ready for our show with hydrating hair and scalp shampoo and conditioner, Dream Hair Cream, and Pacific Pomade. But you're not us. You have your own way to get ready. You might shave your whole body to get ready for a bike race. Dollar Shave Club's Executive Razor and Shave Butter can help you with that. You might do your hair to get ready for your soccer match. Boogies by DSC can help you get your style right. The thing is, no matter what you do to get ready, DSC has everything you need. And right now, you can get ready with an amazing deal on any one of their starter sets. I recommend the Daily Essential Starter Set, but you can't go wrong with any of them. Head over to dollarshaveclub.com/Golic to pick your own DSC starter set for just $5. After your starter set, products ship at regular price. And make sure you check out their new video as well. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Golic. dollarshaveclub.com/Golic.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hotspots.
Glad you're with us, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. As always, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Golic and Wingo, or call in 860-506-5505. It is researcher Brett's last day. We played Brettomology for the last time.
Yes, we did.
And he is going on, I don't say to greener pastures, he's just going on to pastures.
He's moving on to a different pasture. We're not sure to do what or when he's going to do it, but we know he won't be here anymore.
He has no job.
Yeah.
He has no job.
So we once the show ends, we forget about it.
Yeah. Once you're out the door, you're out the door.
You're out the door.
So we're doing all these nice things now.
Yeah.
But eventually it just won't matter.
Just won't matter. We'll be saying Brett who?
Exactly. Well, you know what? He'll be that guy we did Larry-omology with.
Right.
That's exactly who it would be. So anyway, that's what's been going on most of the morning. You can get in touch with us there. But let's start this hour, as we always do, with a little thing we like to call What's Trending. And you heard a little bit of the sound there in the Open. It was a crazy hot day at the U.S. Open. It's going to be another crazy hot one today. Both Federer and Novak Djokovic advanced and won their opening round matches. The heat index on the court might got up to 107. It was 98 degrees, but the heat index got up to 107.
So a safety rule that's been on the women's side when it's extremely hot out, between their second and third set, they get a 10-minute break. They put that in the men's side yesterday, and I'm sure they'll do it today. Between the third and fourth set, they'll get a 10-minute break. And as you'll hear the Joker talk about it, well, what did he do in that 10-minute break? He and his the guy he was playing against, well, they were kind of doing something not really together, but at the same time.
They were together, but not air quotes together.
I want to thank US Open for allowing us to have a 10-minute break. after third set. I think we both needed it. That was funny because Martin and I were ice bath one next to another. So we had the 2 ice baths. We were naked in the ice baths. And it was quite wonderful feeling, battling with the guy for 2.5 hours, and then you get into the locker room and you haven't finished the match and you're naked in the ice baths. It was quite a magnificent feeling, I must say.
Yeah, and listen, ice bath at the right time feels great. It had to feel great for them, but as any guy knows, you got to get through the first 30 seconds.
That line of demarcation.
Right? Once you're through that, you're good. Once you go numb, you're good.
Yeah, but the numbing, it's like getting into whatever you get to a certain point, and then you deal with it, and then you're okay, then you're fine. But again, heat restrictions in place, and hopefully
it'll be again today. You think, right? Because it's just as hotter out there, so that'll happen again.
They have hard, fast rules about this at the Australian Open, which is played in Melbourne in January and February, which is the heat, literally, of the Australian summer. So hopefully, going forward, the USTA will have more practical and permanent guidelines about what they can and can't do when it gets that hot. Well, this doesn't look good. The Mystics' Elena Delle Donne was helped off the court with a knee injury in the fourth quarter of Washington's semifinal WNBA Game 2 with the Atlanta Dream and had to be helped off the court. The Mystics lost the game by 3, evening the series. Delle Donne's going to fly home to Washington on Wednesday and be evaluated by Mystics physicians.
So, again, fourth quarter, she had 27 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. Listen, she is one of the best players without question.
She's fantastic.
In that league, and she was driving to the basket. You saw her kind of trip and got caught up and then went down, grabbing her knee. She looked like she was in a lot of pain. She's hoping to be back. As Trey said, the series is even up 1 apiece, and it's a best of 5. Right. So we'll see if she has to miss a game or if it's worse. I'm sure she is very hopeful, and that's what athletes are. But until you get that MRI and see what's really going on in there, I'm sure a lot of people are holding their breath because without her, they're not winning without her.
No, absolutely not. And look, she said afterwards, "I'm walking." She said in comments provided by their PR staff, "The swelling isn't terrible, so I'll go home and see our doctors and see what they say." Look, that could mean something.
I hope it means something good,
but it could mean nothing, Mike.
We've seen occasions where guys were walking with a slight limp after they hurt their knee, thinking they'd be okay, and they've had complete tear. So, and I'm not saying that's the case here, but you hope nothing but the best for her because gotten to meet her a few times. She's really, really a great person, without question, and with undoubtedly a great player who Washington really needs if they're going to move on in this thing.
And again, just remember last year after the hit in the end zone against the Rams, Carson Wentz walked off the field. We're not saying we're saying just don't read anything into the fact that she says she's walking. They'll get the test and they'll figure it out. And if you can figure this guy out, God bless you. He continues to be the gift that keeps on.
This is just fantastic.
He's our guy. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, our dude, who scored 1 goal in the final matchup, El Tráfico, between LAFC and the LA Galaxy the other Friday night. So he's 1 goal shy of joining Ronaldo and Messi as the only active players with 500 career goals. He's got 1 more to join them, but he's doing things his way all the time.
A lot of players do this. They'll call and there'll be that message for season ticket holders about buying future season tickets. You'll have stars that do that. But he does it in a unique way.
He did it in the best possible way. He sent out emails to LA Galaxy fans ordering them to renew their season tickets and literally ordering. The email was sent this way.
This is it. This is all that was in the email.
Dear, insert your name here. You will renew now, Zlatan.
That is just awesome. I mean, that is just awesome.
You will not please renew.
You will renew.
You will renew now. And he didn't even say sign Zlatan.
No.
Your Zlatan. He just said
Zlatan.
Awesome. I'm telling you, ESPN The Ocho needs to be real just so we can have a Zlatan Ibrahimovic channel, all Zlatan, all the time. All right, we are getting ready for all football all the time. It's week 4 of the preseason, and then it's on to the start of the regular season. And our next guest will start that season at home as the New Orleans Saints welcome in the Tampa Bay Bucks. Week 1, we are delighted to be joined now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line by Saints head coach Sean Payton. And Sean, I just want you to know, over this summer, we have talked more about the Saints and their training camp for one reason and one reason only, because Mike Golic remembers fondly those days at the Greenbrier where he was fishing while you guys were working out there.
I'd go fish on the 16th Fairway Lake and was catching bass while you guys were sweating in the heat when you were there.
Good morning. It's a pretty good setup up there. You had me nervous this morning, though. My little bell rang on your show, and I'm hearing Zlatan and Galaxy, and I thought, man, am I calling at the right time?
Oh, yeah. You are. Listen, it's hard to follow Zlatan, Sean, but we think you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I bought season tickets to something I had nothing to do with.
Well, listen, if Zlatan sends the email, just know you're renewing.
There you go.
And then it's, we can simply move on from there. And listen, I have to say, we talked about this when you joined us at the Super Bowl, but I thought the way you handled the post-game press conference after the loss in Minnesota, especially dealing with the young player Marcus Williams, was absolutely brilliant, because you don't want to lose a guy that early who has so much potential. And yes, he made the wrong play at the wrong time, but I thought the way you talked about him immediately after that game to the press was one of the greatest coaching jobs through the media I've ever seen.
Well, I say this now, he is a special, not only a special guy, a special player, and you know, our league's going to hear about him for quite some time. He's had a great training camp, and there were so many things that, you know, you play in a game like that and you look back on and you remember the last play. Well, it was 3rd and 1 about 28 seconds earlier, and all we need to do is get that yard, and that field goal is being kicked with 3 seconds, 2 seconds, you know, a second left in the game instead of 20-some seconds. So there were too many plays. He was involved in it. He had an interception in that game. I mean, he's had an amazing camp now. This guy's an elite level player, and I would say just as importantly, an elite guy, strong, and I know he's had a great off season, but there were too many things that took place throughout the course of that game, and it's tough when you lose and the finality's over with, and you feel like but we'll learn from that, and as a team, as a coaching staff, and hopefully can put ourselves in a similar position this year. It's
the one good thing that his peers understand, that it doesn't come down to that one play. Just like you said, there are other plays, and the other players and coaches obviously know that as well, and the kid does what they have.
I mean, and that's not just rhetoric. That's really the truth of it all. I mean, we didn't play well in that first. We fell down early, and then we felt like somewhere in that second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, we had played better, and there were a ton of different moments that you look at. But with Marcus, he's there early. He's worried about the interference call and trying to avoid giving them a first down right there at that point in the field, and then obviously there's a collision with the other corner, and it was just a crazy finish. Certainly an exciting finish if you were a Vikings fan or a football fan. But listen, we'll get back and get up, and we get started here in a week and a half.
And Coach, as you're getting ready to get started, it's a new year, so the slate is wiped clean. But, you look at your quarterback in Drew Brees, you look at like an Eli Manning, a Ben Roethlisberger, a Phillip Rivers, guys who are going to be Hall of Famers, but also are coming to the end of their careers. So is there a different emphasis knowing that you have a quarterback, while an all-time great quarterback, like these other teams as well, that the window of opportunity with this quarterback is starting to be limited?
Well, I don't think for the players there is. In other words, the players would say, well, shoot, we want to win. We want to play well. And I think then as an organization, you may be a little bit more willing to look at a specific targeted free agent player. I mean, look, there is a window while Drew's here. Hopefully, we're building and have built a program that's sustainable for not only the near future, but the far future as well. And so I think that, look, there were a few pieces we added in the offseason, some veteran players that came in, DeMario Davis, Kurt Coleman. We drafted, I think, pretty well again, and we're going to have a chance to see Davenport, and we're going to have a chance to see this Traquan Smith, the receiver out of Central Florida, and a number of guys. But I do think in our league, what happened a year ago, it's not like the graduation that you see sometimes in the NBA. Well, now the next step. Our league, the slate is truly wiped clean, and you start again. And if we look last year at a few of our wins, they very easily could have went either way. And I'm sure we had some losses the same way, but you really got to start from square one, and hopefully as we get ready to approach the start of this season, we'll be ready to play good football.
Sean Payton with us, the Saints head coach, and you mentioned this year's draft class. I just want to say they have a lot to live up to because if you look back at what you guys did in the draft last year, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Lattimore, some guy named Alvin Kamara that I don't know we've heard of a little bit, and also Marcus Williams. Those 4 picks alone, getting those 4 players out of one draft and what they were able to contribute, absolutely remarkable. And then this year you move up, you basically give up a first-round pick to get that edge rusher, Marcus Davenport. That's a big move, Sean, that a lot of teams usually reserve for someone like a quarterback. What made you so sure in getting that stock for Marcus?
If you look at the math, and it's not as big a move as you think. If you're drafting at the back of the first round, and you feel as if you're going to draft at the back of first round, then you're really taking late ones and trying to get an earlier one. And I think it's much different if look, you're giving up, so I think you got to look at the picks, and when you do the valuation, the numbers, it makes sense. Now, the pick, the trade makes sense. Whether or not you agree with the pick then is a different thing. So, but moving up into that first round, it's just hard to get one of these edge rushers picking where we were picking, and we weren't looking just specifically to find. We felt this guy Davenport was a guy that could fit with what we're doing. We saw his strength, his length. We saw a lot of the things that we felt would help us as a team, and he'll play at right defensive end. Okafor will be over there as well. And so it was just a matter of if he was going to be still available when the trade was made, or else we wouldn't have made the trade.
We're talking to Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. We know the running back, Mark Ingram, gone the first 4 games, suspended. So Alvin Kamara, those two obviously played so well off one another. Is the plan to still split time with other backs or let him carry more of the load early in the season?
Mike, that's a good question. I think for us as a team, we've got to be smart about increasing a workload. I think his touch percentage and how he played in the base and the nickel, what we did with him in the passing game, it fit. And so I think we're still, believe it or not, sitting here with a week left of this preseason. We're still evaluating and still looking. And we've got a few guys here competing for those touches that we're going to lose when Mark's gone. And, I say it all the time to these players, you're not just, you start looking at your depth chart in your room and you're failing to look at the other 31 teams, because this player can come from within, but this player could be, running back number 4 from one of these other teams that gets released or traded. So we're still pursuing that. We're still evaluating it. Boston Scott is a young player we drafted. Jonathan Williams, another young player out of Arkansas, and then Shane Vereen, someone that we signed in the offseason. So those 3 guys are kind of competing for that role, and yet it doesn't necessarily mean it has to come from those 3 players. Hopefully it does.
As we're talking to Sean Payton, Saints head coach, everyone falls in love with offense, Sean, and you're one of the brilliant play callers of the offensive side. But the reason the Saints were back in the playoff chase and came so close to getting to the NFC Championship game a year ago was a dramatic turn on your defense from the unit that was 7-9 3 straight years, really an impact group from start to finish. What changes do you want to see, and how do you keep improving that side of the ball to make sure you guys are in the playoff hunt again?
Well, I think twofold. I think it's important for us as a team offensively to still maintain that balance in the time of possession. Those are some of the things that can help the other side of the ball defensively. This past weekend in LA versus the Chargers, we had 4 drives of over an average of 12 plays, and all of a sudden the time of possession kicks in your favor. The numbers kick in your favor defensively. You're not dependent on as many snaps. So I think the balance, starting with what we do offensively, and then I think defensively, we were much better in third down last year. We were much better taking the ball away and hurrying the quarterback. I know specifically we want to be a little bit better in the red zone, and the focus again on the takeaways. You've seen it in the preseason. Some of these teams have jumped out. I mean, Arizona, they might be close to 20 takeaways right now in the preseason. And I know it's just the preseason, and yet something's happening there for that to take place.
Sean Payton, head coach of the Saints, joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And then I have a kind of a soft place in my heart for what's going to happen on Saturday, because I worried about it a number of times being a 10th rounder. You actually released my son twice, once in the summer when he was there and once on Last Cuts, which is coming up Saturday. So certainly some personal experience there. Talk about that side of it. There's over 1,000 guys that'll be without a job. Some will catch on in practice squad, some on other teams, but some their dream will be over. How difficult is that, and what do you see at times when you're telling these guys that they won't be part of the team?
I think it's the toughest part of our job, and I was cut 3 different times, and really I was kind of like the airplane that never took off really at the next level, and kept trying, and I think that. The first thing when a player walks in is you always want to keep that dream alive for them. And, for so many of these guys, they're going to have another opportunity, whether it's in another camp, maybe the next off season. Sometimes they'll ask questions, a lot of times they'll ask about where their weaknesses are. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes each player is a little different, and it's an emotional time for them. I think there's a buildup, because so much is made of this week, and the questions they're getting asked throughout the week, and they know there's another game. This is the last preseason game, and then it's like the drums start rolling, and here comes Friday, and here comes Saturday, and that's difficult. I think it's a little different when you're in the flow of things, and all of a sudden, mid stride, you're asked to come up and you're released. It's a much different but this. When you're here during the off-season program and the running and the lifting, all the work that gets put into what they do in the summer, keeping their bodies in great shape, and then coming to training camp and putting the pads on, and man, that's difficult. To hike really to the very top of the mountain and then not get to cross over the gate. I think that's very challenging, and it's one of the harder weekends of the year.
It certainly is, and again, it's so fluid because people think they've made the team, and then somebody else gets released somewhere else, and another team picks them up. It's a great and awful weekend at the same time.
Definitely is.
Sean Payton, by the way, one of the member of the greatest lineages of all time, Eastern Illinois quarterbacks that have significant issues in the NFL. Tony Romo, Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe Brad Childress, and Mike Shanahan also.
Absolutely.
There. So
there you go.
That's quite the group from an unexpected source that has had quite an impact on a lot of levels in the NFL. Hey, Sean, we appreciate you being with us this morning. Best of luck with the season. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Sean.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
And again, if Zlatan sends that email, renew. Just make sure you renew. Most important thing we can tell you. Sean Payton with us. Look, he's always fun to talk to. One of the great minds in football.
Yeah, he really is, and I got to see that up close and personal, going and watching some of the camp and stuff. And he really does runs a great ship there with the Saints. Obviously, has an all-timer quarterback in Drew Brees, and with that defense, that's been the thing. The offense was always going to be big there, but the defense has really picked it up and really helping them along.
And again, good luck to Marcus Davenport, Traquan Smith, and the rest of the 2018 draft class, because you got a lot to live up to after the gold they struck. Oh, and by the way, Alex Anzalone, who also was in that draft class, did a great job for them at linebacker last year.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.
Golic and Wingo on a Wednesday morning. Glad you're with us. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And yeah, we're hyped up about Saturday being the real start of the college football season, week 1 as opposed to week 0. And then a week from tomorrow, the NFL season starts. But really, it's all dress rehearsal until what happens in April. 239 days away from the start of the NFL draft. And you can never start talking about the draft too early. And for that reason, and that reason alone, well, that and his hair, we bring in the one, the only, Mel Kiper Jr. How are we, Mel?
Now we're ready to tee it up, Trey and Golic. 8 months to the day almost. 8 months till we're in Nashville, guys.
That's exactly right, and we can't wait. Our draft expert, also co-host of Dari and Mel on ESPN Radio, weekdays from 7, or weekends rather, from 7 to 10 Eastern. So, Mel, your first big board is out. And this is going to be a very different big board from last year's big board, because last year's big board was all about quarterbacks, and this one is all about guys trying to crunch quarterbacks.
Yeah, 7 of the top 10 last year drafted offensive players. This year, you look at the defense, dominant. Defensive linemen, guys, 11 defensive linemen in the top 25. So it's going to be that type of draft where you see an Ed Oliver from Houston, and Nick Bosa from Boston College, 2 great defensive linemen, an interior guy and an outside guy, a fast, athletic linebacker in Devin White from LSU. I've had Greedy Williams, a cornerback out of LSU. And then you get to the quarterbacks, maybe a couple running backs, a couple receivers, maybe 4 offensive tackles. So there's going to be some offensive guys in round 1, particularly in the top 25 overall.
You mentioned 11 in your top 25 at D linemen, 5 in the top 10. As a matter of fact, 6 of the top 10 are linemen altogether, because you throw in there the offensive lineman, Greg Little from Mississippi. Also, the first 9 in your top 25 are underclassmen. As far as the D linemen, what is making this class so special?
I think the fact that they were always dominant, most of these got dominant from day one. When Ed Oliver stepped on that field, when Nick Bosa, think about Rashawn Gary, number 1 player in the entire nation coming out of high school, going to Michigan, number 1 over every other position, Rashawn Gary was. And Dexter Lawrence, Clemson. He's a bounce back from last year, as Christian Wilkins does, and play a little bit better. Those 2 defensive linemen at Clemson, in addition to Austin Bryant, another Clemson defensive lineman, could have come out, but they didn't, guys. And that's why that's fortified the position. I didn't even include Brian Burns, who can bend that edge and get to that quarterback as quick as anybody out of Florida State. Defensive end, could be an outside backer in the NFL. Add him to the list, and you got a dozen defensive linemen.
Well, listen, it's going to be dominated by those guys. There's no question about it. Mel Kiper is with us. His first big board is out, 239 days away from the draft. No one ever said you weren't prepared. You can't say that talking about Mel Kiper Jr., but a lot of people believe, and Mel, I do, that this is going to be the Ed Oliver draft. He is going to be the guy that everybody's clamoring for. What about him makes him so special?
Well, I think you look at what Aaron Donald's done, Trey, and I think that's always going to be the comparison. Obviously, Nick Bosa is going to be compared to Joey Bosa. And we'll get some quarterback comps coming up as well with Justin Herbert and Drew Lock and even Will Grier. But I think for Ed Oliver, to see him, as I say, day one, when he stepped on that field as a true freshman, he looked like he was ready for the NFL. And I think if you could have come out then, he would have been in the top group. So when you do it consistently, and people say, wouldn't get that sack total up. He had 16.5 tackles for loss. That's being disruptive behind the line of scrimmage. And I think the closest guy to the quarterback, that straight line, that interior presence, that guy who can collapse things like Aaron Donald does and be so dynamic inside, is equal to the outside pass rush of Nick Bosa. So if you want the inside guy, you take Oliver. You want the outside pass rusher, you look at Nick Bosa from Ohio State.
In this past draft, I mean, it was quarterback after quarterback we talked about. Where do the quarterbacks fall in here? Who are some of the top ones?
It's an interesting group, Golic. I think you look at Justin Herbert from Oregon. He's at 15 now on the big board. Drew Lock's at 22. Herbert had the collarbone, left shoulder, non-throwing, late September. Comes back. They're 6-2 in the games he starts. They're 1-4 without him. And the offensive totals was dramatic, how different that team was with him as opposed to without him. He's at 67, almost 68% for the last year. He's at 34 touchdowns, 9 picks for his career. He's got kind of Sam Bradford type accuracy. Drew Lock, Missouri's at 22 on the big board. He's got that Josh Allen, Brett Favre, big time arm strength, but he was at 57.8. He's at 54.5 for his career. They're going to have the same red flag they said with Josh Allen. They're going to be critical of Drew Lock unless he gets that completion percentage up to 62, 63 this year. That's what we'll be watching for him.
Mel Kiper is with us. You mentioned Nick Bosa being compared to Joey. Obviously, Joey has done remarkably well at the next level. Is that something that people can expect out of his younger brother when he gets into the league?
No question, Trey. I mean, you talk about the similar, and think about John Bosa, his father, and a first-round pick coming out of Boston College. It's a great bloodlines. This family is kind of like the Manning family on the offensive side of quarterbacks with the way they have been great defensive linemen. And I think for Bosa, Nick, what Joey's done, the hand usage, the technique, everything he's done, it's been since day one, following the footsteps of his father. So I think you look at this year, they have a chance, both those, Ed Oliver and Nick Bosa, to be dynamic. And I think Rashawn Gary, hey, Notre Dame, Michigan, the game of the week this year in South Bend this week. Rashawn Gary, we'll have to see what he does. Chase Winovich on that D-line. You got, a guy in the secondary, Lavert Hill. You got Hudson. You got Devin Bush. That Michigan defense is loaded. And how does Notre Dame, that Alex Barrs-led offensive line, deal with that defense? It's going to be fun to watch.
How about the Heisman this year? What are we looking at for your favorites? Obviously, Bryce Love is there. Who else?
Well, Bryce Love is interesting because I was going to get to him. Running the football, game-breaking ability, the numbers, the 8.1 yard average per carry, all phenomenal. But he only had 6 receptions out of the backfield. I think kind of a point of emphasis for David Shaw in that offense is get him the ball out of the backfield more. Only 6 receptions. So if he can expand and become more versatile, his game, like Christian McCaffrey did, then all of a sudden Bryce Love is going to be very highly regarded, as will Rodney Anderson from Oklahoma. This is a guy, first 6 games of the year last year, did very little. Last 7, 8 games, he was unstoppable. They couldn't tackle this guy against Georgia. He ran wild. So you could have 2 running backs very highly regarded, and Love from Stanford and Anderson certainly from Oklahoma.
Mel Kiper Jr. is with us. Mel, we just had Sean Payton, the Saints head coach, on last segment, and we were just saying, hey, good luck to this year's draft class, because what they were able to do in last year's draft class was insane. Getting Lattimore, Marcus Williams, Ryan Ramczyk, Alvin Kamara, also Alex Anzalone, the linebacker from Florida. They all contributed. So clearly that was a home run draft for them. So as we look at the draft picks they had this year, they made the move up, as you and I were there when it happened, to get Marcus Davenport. They traded a number 1 for him. What do you think out of this year's draft class for the Saints with Traquan Smith and the rest of those players?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, we thought, and I was sitting there, we were talking, maybe are they going up to get Lamar Jackson to be the heir apparent to Drew Brees? Lamar ended up going to Baltimore at the end of the first round. They didn't. They went for the guy who could impact that defense and give them something other than Cameron Jordan, give them an extra pass rush presence, which they really didn't have. So I think for Marcus Davenport, as we move through the year, will be key. Smith, obviously another factor at wide receiver, another weapon for Drew Brees. But this is my pick, guys. I went on record on the Daria Mel show last week and picked the New Orleans Saints to be in the Super Bowl. Hey, the schedule's not easy, but this is a heck of a football team. I had Brady against Brees. What, a 40-year-old quarterback against a 41-year-old quarterback? I don't think it's ever happened before. Probably never happen again.
Oh, it's never happened before. I can promise you that. It might happen going forward with the way things are being seen, but
hey, you never know.
Things are changing. Mel, always good to talk to you, my man. We look forward to our next visit with you when it'll be 232 days away.
I can't wait, guys. Always a pleasure, man.
Je m'appelle Mel Kiper Jr., NFL draft expert, co-host of Dari and Mel on ESPN Radio's weekends from 7 to 10 right here. Obviously not weekdays, because then we wouldn't be doing our show.
There you go. It's exactly right. It's amazing. You sit there and look at Ed Oliver, and I mean, since he stepped on campus at Houston, what he's done and what he has in common with some of the top defensive tackles. Again, this is interior defensive line.
Right.
This is where you're used to seeing a whole lot of beef. Who's the best in the league in the NFL?
In terms of?
interior defensive lineman.
Well, you can make the
Aaron Donald.
I'm sorry, you're talking about teams?
Yes. No,
Aaron
I'm talking
Donald,
about
Geno Atkins, yeah.
Okay, Aaron Donald, 6'6", about 290.
Yep.
Geno Atkins just signed that big deal, 6'2", 300.
Yep.
Ed Oliver, 6'3", 292.
Yep.
I mean, these guys, they don't look like the big, guys you just set down in the middle. These guys are unbelievable athletes that can move, create or wreak havoc, get on the other side, reestablish the line of scrimmage, not just with brute strength. At times they can, of just pushing a guy back, but mostly with quickness. And I talked about this earlier. An offensive guard or center would much rather play that big guy where they can just kind of short set him in a phone booth or stay in front of him and stay locked into him with their strength than that quick-footed, quick-handed, lighter interior defensive lineman who gets an offensive lineman off balance and off his game.
The only reason Ed Oliver wasn't drafted before now because he couldn't.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I mean, he was ready to go.
He was a true junior this year, yes.
I mean, people are talking about, could a high school guy step out and play? Ed Oliver might have been that guy.
There was one of those guys that
might
maybe
have been
could
that guy, but rules won't allow it. So watch out for him this season at Houston and expect to hear his name called at the top of the draft.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Bye-bye, Brett. We'll miss the moments like this.
Maybe that'll be in Brettomology at one point.
We're not taking requests, you guys.
You have the most beautiful words.
But really the beauty of Brett is right here.
Brett just went on camera and pointed to his face.
Sorry for the times we yelled at you.
Shut up, Brett!
You could leave.
Or
you could stay and play Brettomology one last time.
We're going to take it to the high seas.
We are taking it to the high seas.
Wow. SportsCenter brought to you by eBay. eBay has everything you need to do football season your way. Yeti coolers, crock pots, and other gear you need to rep your ride. Visit eBay and feel like you've scored a touchdown without ever picking up a ball. Game day, it's happening on eBay.
It is, and it's all happening here. It's all ending as researcher Brett is moving on. And once again, not even to greener pastures.
Yeah, a lot of times you move on. Usually people that work this show get another gig way better than what they had on this show.
Correct.
Moving on up, and we just stay here.
Yeah. And Brett's just moving.
Brett's just moving.
He's literally
not
moving.
up, not down, not anyway.
He's just going to New York to have no job.
Yeah.
That's basically what's happening.
Getting out of Dodge.
He's hauling butt.
Leaving Bristol, Connecticut for New York.
Without a job.
But not a bad move.
Not a bad move on his part. So obviously people have been weighing in all day about saying goodbye to researcher Brett. And I think it started in the perfect way for the most pettiest show in America with this voicemail.
Good morning, Golic and Wingo, and of course, Brett. This is Carol from Virginia. Say it isn't so. I'm so sorry to hear that there won't be any more Brettomology. It's really brightened my Wednesday mornings, and it's just not going to be the same. Best of luck to Brett, and I'm still a fan of Golic and Wingo. Bye-bye.
We were the afterthought in that voicemail.
We absolutely were. You know, it's one of those things. What happens when you do a 4-hour show, you try things.
Yeah.
You try things, and then sometimes there are ways, there are things you do that you just name differently, even though it's the same thing.
Yeah, some of them we try and they end up like this.
Yeah, it's
Don't
exactly
really
right. So we gave Brettomology a try, and man, it absolutely took over. And let's give credit, a lot of it was because of Brett and the work he did with it.
Absolutely. In fact, it caught on so fast.
That escalated quickly.
It did.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It absolutely did. And we have another voicemail here for researcher Brett.
Yeah, this is Ronnie from Pittsburgh. I know that you guys are always joking about Brett's ego. I just want to say that I think he has been an incredible value to your show. Brett, God bless you. Wish you all the best. You were great. Bye.
I think that dude was like really being serious.
I think he was, which we're a little uncomfortable with.
You don't get the show.
Yeah, exactly. Understand that completely.
Wow, but that was very nice.
Listen, the fake definitions that Brett gave were unbelievable. And I'm told now, in a shocking turn of events, that Brett would like some airtime on his final
Brett,
day.
the floor is yours.
Brett, take it away.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was hired at ESPN 7 years ago. It was the dream job. I think everybody knows that. I don't think it ever gets better than watching sports for a living. It's been a blast working with you guys. Getting to build up a segment on national radio is like just an outrageous thing to think about. And it's been a real cherry on top of my career. I'm going to New York, as you guys have said. Trey has underscored the fact that I do not have a job.
He's just leaving us. Leaving us.
I know two things. One, working here and doing what I've done has been such a great foundation for anything I could possibly do next. So I'm super excited about that. Number two, I've been in a 6.5 year.
Hold on. That's perfect because we are
the pettiest show in America.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Way to go, guys. Way to go.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry. Did we interrupt your moment?
You interrupted like a really sentimental moment for me there.
That
was great. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Continue.
The second and final thing is that I've been in a 6.5 year long distance relationship, which is probably some sort of record. So to quote one of my favorite movies, I got to go see About a Girl.
Hey, there you go.
So this is about a girl. Wow.
A little Goodwill Hunting on the way
It's a shame we don't have a lot of time left because what he's doing could be a Bretomology.
Yes, it would be.
He's flying the coop. Uh-huh.
Nicely done.
How about
that? Sounds like a request.
That does.
We don't take those.
And as we know, Bretomology does not take requests. Well, Brett, listen.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, because even though we are
the pettiest show in America,
Bretomology has been a hell of a lot of fun. And listen, the first time I ever met Brett, he was researching NFL Live on Halloween, and he came in a giant bunny outfit. I'm like, what is your problem?
It was a panda.
Panda, whatever.
Panda.
We don't do that here. We don't do that here.
Brett, you've been great. It was a great segment. You've been fantastic. And when somebody leaves, we do feel sad. Hopefully there's a cake out there. And
Brett!
The only thing I can really say is Riley is our favorite researcher.
That's also true.
Yeah.
And I think on Brett's last day, as we conclude the show, I think there's only one perfect way to end this show, and it's simply this. Hey, Brett, you want to play golf later on today?
I'm good.
There we go. That sums it up completely, ladies and gentlemen. Researcher Brett has left the building.
Yeah, Brett.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get